Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to do an overview of the very recently revealed World of Warcraft Dragonflight expansion. And I do want to go into more detail into a lot of this new content and systems in future videos, but I mainly just want to do a general overview of some of the new stuff coming in this expansion. So this expansion will take place in the newly unconcealed Dragon Isles continent, which will have 4 new leveling zones, a new starter zone for the new class, a new level cap that goes up to level 70, so that's a 10 level increase from the last expansion of Shadowlands, and then you can expect a lot of similar stuff that you would expect in World of Warcraft, so new dungeons, new raids, new quests, all of that sort of thing. But the exciting parts of this new expansion come with the new systems or the reworking of old systems. And what's interesting is at the start of this expansion reveal, Ian Hazzikostas, who is the game director for World of Warcraft, talked about how they specifically wanted to remake a lot of systems that won't be going away, and that feedback from players for a couple expansions now has been that the systems that come for one expansion and go away aren't something the players want. So stuff like all the borrowed power systems that we have been getting from Legion all the way until Shadowlands is something it seems like they're not going to be doing, and instead they're going to be overhauling a lot of the main systems of the game and adding in some new ones that they want to keep as permanent parts of the game. And the first bit of that overhauling is the reworked talent system, which will completely change the character and skill customization in the game. Going from the talent rows that we have had since Mists of Pandaria, we are now getting a system more reminiscent of old school talent trees, which is going to consist of one big talent tree that is a overarching class tree, and then one tree that is specific to whatever spec you're playing. And this is a pretty massive rework of our general skill and passive customization, and seems to even be expanded past the old school talent trees, and it's seeming like this will give us a lot more options in terms of creating builds, setting up builds for specific pieces of content, and just general diversity of gameplay. And then we have the rework of professions, another system that has sorely needed a rework for years now. And this too is also getting a pretty massive overhaul. And it's hard to give a general overview of this, but you're essentially going to be able to specialize into different pieces of specific professions. There's now going to be quality to the items that you craft. So the more you craft items, the better quality you can make, and better quality items are either higher item level gear pieces, better potions that have stronger effects, or possibly even new items when you get more and more proficient with that profession and that profession specialization. Something else they're also adding to tie into professions is work orders that you will be able to start at the auction houses. And essentially how these work is you'll be able to look through lists of all the craftable items, and you'll be able to go to a specific item and start a work order for that, so any other player on your server can come up, see there's a work order for this specific item, and they will be able to craft the item for that player. And then when that player goes back to the auction house, they can pick up that crafted item, and there will be certain costs to this, the material costs, all that type of stuff, but essentially a new way for people that want to focus on crafting to fill work orders for any players that want those items. And there's a lot more details to go into this, but like I mentioned, I'll be doing that in separate videos going over all the specifics of these reworked systems. And then the final big rework is a complete UI overhaul to try to bring the UI into this generation and not have it basically be the same thing that we have had since vanilla. And they showed some work in progress screenshots. It's going to be much more clean, and from the developers discussing this, it seems like they wanted to remove a lot of the clutter on your screen, make everything much more clean looking, so you had the information you need in a very minimalist realistic way. And I do think it looks pretty nice. It is work in progress, but overall, I think it looks a lot better than the current UI we have. And they also talked about some of the customization that's going to come with this. So you'll be able to move pretty much any UI element in the base game now. And there'll be a bunch of different customization options with that, probably resizing stuff, maybe activating some additional UI elements, and you will even be able to name and save different layouts, and the system will even remember what spec you were on with that specific layout. So say if you want to switch to a healer from a DPS, you may want to have a different UI setup, and it will remember that when you switch to that different spec. So now we get to go into some of the brand new features for the expansion, and the first one is a pretty major difference and something we haven't had in World of Warcraft before. So this new feature is to become a Dragonrider. So essentially what this system is once you start this expansion, you get to choose one of 4 drakes. And these drakes aren't typical mounts. These drakes actually have special moves, their own different abilities, even their own skill trees that will add some actual gameplay into just flying around in World of Warcraft like we've had for the last 17, 18 years. And you will be able to learn different skills, and some of the new gameplay surrounding this new Dragonrider system is going to be pretty reminiscent of something you would see from the Guild Wars 2 mounts. So having momentum, jumping off of cliffs to gain a lot of speed, to then be able to glide across an entire zone, being able to do barrel rolls, and other things of that nature to again just add actual gameplay to this flying mount. Now they didn't mention anything about actually using other normal flying mounts at the start of the expansion, but you will be getting your choice of one of these drakes, which I think is a much better option to just allowing players to use a normal mount that we've had forever in WoW. This actually adds some gameplay in the traversal of moving around these new zones, and it comes with a different selectable drake that you'll be able to customize with different armor on them, different colors, and then like I mentioned, even going into their own skill trees. And the final new thing we're getting for this expansion is not only getting a new playable race, but a new playable class that is also that playable race. So this new playable race and class is the Drakthir Evoker, which is a legitimate dragon. So in combat, you will be this cool new dragon form, and then out of combat, similar to the Worgens, you'll be able to transform to your human form, and you'll be able to have a ton of different customization options in both forms. And this is a hero class, so you will be able to choose between being an alliance or horde once you create this class. They will be getting their own intro experience in the new expansion, so that is the new starter zone, and they will be getting 2 specializations. One is a range class called Devastation, and one is a healing class called Preservation. And more than just being a new race and class to play, this also adds in some new combat features. And more specifically, what we got to see are charge up abilities that are split up into different bars. So specifically on the website for the expansion, there's a picture of this new class using a Dream Breath ability, and the charge up bar is split into 3 sections. So every section would add an additional effect to the ability if you kept charging up the ability for that long. So actually something similar to the hold abilities of Lost Ark. A lot of other games have systems similar to this, and I think this is something very exciting to be adding into World of Warcraft, because this is definitely something that adds a lot more fun gameplay than just pressing your ability and it casts a spell or uses an ability for every single thing in the game. Adding in abilities that are charge ups like this definitely can switch up the gameplay. And this is also something that's pretty new for World of Warcraft, because we've never had a new race that can only be one class, and we've never had a new class that can only be one specific race. Having them both tied to each other and that being the only options is something that is pretty new. And I think for what it is, it definitely works. So that is an overview of a lot of the new features, reworks, new content we're getting with the new expansion. There is certainly a lot of additional stuff that was not revealed today, a lot of more specific stuff that will be shown in the coming months and once the beta begins. But generally, I thought most of this stuff was pretty positive. It seems like we're not going to be getting any borrowed power. It seems like they're evolving the game in a way that still feels like more old school World of Warcraft, but is still bringing it more into the current generation with some new stuff, some new gameplay. And personally, to me, feels like they're putting a much bigger emphasis on the base systems of World of Warcraft and trying to make those much better. So we're not just getting a bunch of new systems that are going to come out bad, be changed until they're good, and then thrown away when the new expansion releases. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be doing videos going into all the details we have for all of these systems. So subscribe if you want to keep an eye out for those as well. So subscribe if you want to see more World of Warcraft or other MMO videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this new World of Warcraft expansion. And thanks for watching.